EstimateMaster is it's a database program really that allows you to keep track of your estimates, your customers, your parts and materials, your labor rates and tasks. Allows you to keep markup rates, taxes, all this in one package, and there's no limit to how large this estimate or database can be. When you first install it, download it and install it from the App Store, it's really a blank slate. But if you go to the Preferences tab on the bottom, what you can do is import a sample database. What really is nothing more than an instructive tool to give you an idea how the program works before you enter data. So the way this program works is you enter your materials and parts, you enter your labor, and you being the best person to do this because you know your business and you know what your costs are. There are real expensive database packages that come with, in some cases anyway, with pre-packaged databases of materials and so forth, but in reality they're not going to exactly fit your business. So now I've got some sample data. I've got customers, I've got a few estimates, I got some materials, I got some labor tasks and labor rates, I've got a few markup rates, and I've got some taxes. So let's go over the program. It's a tabbed interface. There's tabs on the bottom. There's a customer tab for your customers. There is an estimate tab for your estimates, and it's indexed by, organized by the customer. You can have multiple estimates per customer. And there's a parts and material tab with a custom categories that you can create yourself. You can combine length and weight and so forth, things like that. Create your own custom categories of material types. Labor, you can have multiple labor rates and assign them to, labor rates are on the upper right, and then there's labor tasks on the left. And task is expressed in hours or fractional hours at a given rate. So this is all driven by the database, and it's all, once it's in there, it's all easily updated and maintained. If you, for example, want to change your labor rate, all the items, all the tasks that relate to that rate automatically update. So let's create a new estimate. Let me show you how that works. So let's go to the Customers tab, and if you don't already have a customer that you're going to assign an estimate to, you just create a new one by touching the plus button upper right, and then you just add it, give it a name, and you can fill in the contact information. Then you go to the Estimate tab, and now we have the customers listed, just one line for each customer. And now to create an estimate, you just select the customer, then you click the plus button under Estimate Description. Now I've got an estimate. You can edit that description to be anything you want. Let's leave it at that at this point. Here's the data is created. Now I've got a blank estimate of 0, a total of 0. So I want to add items. So you got let's assume you've got a predefined list of materials that you use in your business. So to add an item, you just go on the item list on the left and touch the arrow where it says add. Pick some labor items, and there are assemblies as well. You can add a whole assembly, which is a collection of materials and labor that has the quantities and the lengths that's appropriate in the assembly. and you can add the assembly as a single item or as multiple items into the estimate. So let's go back to the, in fact, let's go to the labor tab. Let's add some labor items. Let's add one item here. The labor works exactly the same way. You click on the arrow, the add arrow, on the labor task square on the left. Now if we go back to the estimate tab, we added an assembly, which is, in this case, is 3 items. The quantities and lengths for that is already in the assembly. Assemblies are a pro version feature only. It's a great time saver, and it's a $48 option to buy the pro, but it's a one-time fee. Items you add directly from the materials grid or the labor grid, you need to go and edit and then type in quantities. And if there's a length for the item, you need to put in lengths. If you can put in a fractional, you can put in fractional. Touch the enter button. And it's expressed in fractional feet. We can keep on editing. There's another one. Let's put the quantity in that one. Okay, now we have an estimate. Now we have an estimate. We've got the quantities entered for the items that weren't assemblies and the lengths entered for the length-related items. Now there's your total. Now at this point, that is the raw cost. It does not include markup. So if we want to add markup, we go to the Preferences tab. Now you can have as many markup rates as you want in this list. You just add them by clicking plus and then you're typing in the description and a number. And so you can use different markups for different customers, and you can have different markups for labor, another markup for materials. So to add a markup for materials, I'll click the materials rate and click the add button under materials, and I'll pick the labor one. This is assuming I do it this way. I can do it a number of different ways. Now I've got labor and material markup, and now that's going to reflect in the totals you see on the estimate screen. And taxes, you can have different tax rates for different locales where you work. So if you have a county rate, you can add that, and you can have different rates for labor and materials if that makes sense in your area. It might. So now I've got taxes and materials. So now I've got a whole estimate with, and what you see on the screen now shows the taxes and the markup in the pricing. So if you want to show that to your customer, it's right there with the appropriate markups. Now you can do the markups like we just saw by labor or materials, or you can build it into the pricing as well. Or you can have zero markup and zero taxes just by putting 0 items in the markup or 0 taxes in the tax list. So very flexible. You can build it into the pricing if you want as well. Now if you want to send an estimate, print one out to the customer, touch the print button, and let's take a look at the page format. It's a pretty powerful feature. Page format allows you, this is the printout that the customer sees for an estimate. You can have if your company logo, if you have an image of your company logo in your camera roll, you just choose that and it remains chosen for this template. Now you can have multiple templates in the Pro version, and different templates mean different logos, potentially different typefaces, different format of of the estimate printout. And you have page size selections here, and you can orientate, landscape, or portrait. And you can give it a name of estimate, or you can call it proposal, or you can call it anything you want, whatever name you like to use, like so. Now we've set up the page, and this remains in effect for all estimates. You click the preview button, and so now we see we chose to put the logo on the right side, and your company name is underneath that, and contact information if there is any, and your customer information is on the left. Now I don't have any address because I didn't put in any address, but all that can be included. If it's in your company info or customer info, it'll be on the estimate. And you can put a signature line in there as well, which is comes from the estimator person who creates the estimate. If you go to the My Company tab, you can have your estimators, a list of your estimators in the company who do the estimates. Touch the arrow. Now it's assigned to the estimate. Now I've got a signature line that identifies who the person who made the estimate. And also, by the way, you can put in comments. Just type a comment, a personal note that you include in the estimate. Type in any kind of a note, and that's printed out and included in the estimate. Like so. Okay, now let's preview it again. So this is a note that you put in there. Now you can print this directly if you have the Pro version, or you can email it, and it automatically emails to whatever email address is in your customer screen for that customer. Now, let's talk a little bit about, I think I touched on assemblies, but if you have the Pro version, you have this assembly feature, which is a great time saver. Let me show you what it looks like. If I want to edit it, I touch the edit button and click the arrow. So there's an assembly. And you notice in the assembly is the quantities and the length. So you just add an assembly, it goes into the estimate, all the items go into the estimate automatically without adding that, going back and having to edit the quantity and length. And the assembly can include both labor and materials. Let me go to the preferences screen. Let's talk about some of the features in the preferences. In addition to having the taxes and markup, there are some other utilities in that preferences screen. In the Pro version, you can back up your database and send it to anybody you like by email, and also restore it from email. And that's a way to share the database. So you can send it to a colleague. You can receive your email with a backup of it and then restore it in his. And it actually is a smart restore. So the newer items replace the older items. So it's a smart restore, which you can use to maintain your database. Another way to use the program is if you have more than one of you using this program or app in your company, if you use the sync with cloud feature, you can be working off one database, which is in the cloud, and when you sync with it, whatever is doing the syncing gets the latest changes from what's in the cloud. So it's a way to share the database of EstimateMaster with other users in your company. So there's two ways really to share the database among multiple users. One is on the Sync with Cloud feature, which is an extra cost item. There's a subscription fee of $90 for up to 5 users per year. Or you can just use the email feature, which is included in the Pro, which is a one-time price of $48. And then there's the My Company tab. This has your company information, address, etc., which appears in the estimates, a list of the estimator people, and there's a summary of the estimate, which is the cost breakdown by profit, markup, taxes, materials, labor, etc. It's a simple one-page report that can be either printed directly or emailed to your company address. And the terms for the estimate can be edited here. So if you have multiple templates in the Pro version, for example, you can put different terms that you may use for different customers and reference those by choosing a different template. So that's really the essence of the program. There's a lot of hidden features I haven't shown, a lot of time savers for data entry, and produces a very nice looking report which you can send directly through email to customers, or you can print if you have an AirPrint enabled printer.